Hi, it's Michelle from Bits and Pieces Paper Lab, and today we're going to be making this fun little birthday fortune card. It's got a cute little character on the front, and the funnest part is that the little fortune slides out with a little message. So you can either print these, there's a printable, or you can draw them with your pen tool, and you would just need to change the text part to draw in your software before you get ready to cut. So we're going to jump in and learn how to make this, and you can find the file for this in the description below. It also includes a printable that has birthday fortunes and misfortunes on it. You can cut out, so you can choose whichever one you want. And then there's also a blank one if you want to write your own fortune. But some of the misfortunes, please don't light that many candles. Things are probably going to be okay. You don't want to know, fun things like that. So you can kind of choose whether to be sweet or sarcastic. The funnest part of this project is actually going to be picking out the fortune. So I decided to be nice on this one. You light up the world around you. But I think I'm going to be snarky for my next one. So let's see. Let's do things are probably going to be okay. That's pretty funny. All right, so we'll set those others aside, and we're going to use this one. So first, let's work on the little fortune cookie. So there's 3 pieces, and the lighter one goes on top, and it butts right up against the edge. So it's lined up there, and then you'll see a peak of the darker poking out. So let's go ahead and do that. And then this other piece, it does the same thing. It kind of tucks up against the top and then comes down around the bottom. It's a very fine, thin piece, so it may get out of shape as you're working with it, and you'll just need to kind of get it back into place as you adhere it down. So I would just start with the top, get that applied, and then work your way around. Now I'm using Barely Art precision glue. This has a super fine precision tip, which I just love. So little tiny thin pieces like this glue works great for that. Okay, so we've got our fortune cookie assembled, and then this little slit on the card, it goes on this side angled like this. So the intention is that the fortune cookie lines up right like that. So your slit is kind of right along the edge of your fortune cookie, and that way, when the whole thing is assembled, it kind of looks like it's coming out of the cookie, if that makes sense. So you want to keep that in mind. This is kind of the positioning of your fortune cookie. So as we put the face on, we want to do it in the right angle. I kind of messed it up on this first one. You can see how she's kind of angled, but to do it right, you should actually line your cookie up along that little cut line and then put the face on. It really probably does not matter, but this was the intention. So I'm going to add her little smile. And then we've got 2 little eyes. Now these have some pretty tiny little cuts. You can see the inside of the eyes is pretty tiny. I use Encore textured cardstock from 12 by 12 Cardstock Shop, and it can just cut like exceptionally well. But depending on which cardstock you're using, if you can't quite cut that fine, you can always just draw the little eye centers on with a white pen. Just cut them out in black and draw the white part on. All right, so let's get her other eyeball on. Just adding some dabs of glue. And to line these up, I'm just kind of lining them up along with the edge of the smile, so you can see that I've just kind of like matched up along the edge there. And she has some cute little pink cheeks, and those are just going to go right here. Again, you could use chalk if you don't want to cut those little tiny pieces, because they're so tiny they do get lost. Okay, now we are going to pop her up off of the yellow piece with some foam dots. So I'm going to grab my foam. I'm just going to put 3 or 4 pieces here. I just want to give it a bit of dimension. Okay, so now I'm going to be really careful when I'm putting this down. I'm going to pay attention to where my slit is and put the edge of the cookie along the edge of the slit, like that. So you can see how that lines up. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do before I go any farther is I'm going to actually tuck my little fortune in. It's kind of hard to get it in once, for the first time, once the card is assembled. So I'm going to put that, tuck that in there. Okay, so we've got our little fortune tucked in there. Now this piece of gold goes around the edge here. So I'm going to just apply a very thin line of glue along the edge. When you're working with foil cardstock, you have to be pretty careful, because if you get any glue on the front of this foil, it really shows up. So I'm going to start on the side with the fortune, and just going to be very careful about placing this down, getting it lined up without letting any of my glue bleed out. And if you do happen to get glue, like I've got a little smudge right there, you can usually just rub it with your finger or grab like a wet wipe and use that. Okay, so next let's work on assembling the base of the card. There are 10 little strips, and these just go kind of like decoratively on the back of the card. You could cut them out of a different material if you want. I thought it looked fun, just tone on tone. So to get these lined up, you can see there's just a pretty thin little space between the two of them. So what I like to do to get these lined up properly is I'll start by placing one on the top, and one on the bottom, and then I'm just going to continue working my way towards the center. So the next one I'll do lining up along the bottom. And that way, if I start to get towards the center and I realize that I haven't lined them up well, I can adjust and make it look natural. So, because the center part is mostly covered up by the little fortune. So I'm just going to keep doing that and get these all lined up. Okay, last couple. All right, so we've got those. Okay, next we want to mount our little fortune on the center of the card, and he goes down about flush with that bottom edge of the first strip. Now I need to leave a little bit of room for this to slide in and out. So rather than mounting this directly on the card, I want to use some foam dots. And one of the other benefits of having this in here already is that I can see where it needs to slide in and out. So I'm going to just place some foam dots kind of strategically so I'm not in the way of that paper sliding in and out. Peel off my backing. And mount this onto the bottom of the card. All right, next we have 2 little hearts. And the first one goes in this corner and the tiny one goes in the bottom corner. Okay, now we have our little birthday sentiment. So this birthday is all one word, And then the A and the fortune is loose. So I have all sorts of tiny little letters. Now what I like to do when I'm spelling something, especially when I'm doing it on camera, is to get all my words lined up in the right order. That way I don't accidentally misspell something. So we're gonna put these in the right order, going all the right way. Okay, now the next thing I like to do is figure out where the center is. Now, of course, different letters have different widths, but in general, if you just kind of find the center letter, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 7 letters. So this 4th letter is the middle point. So I'm going to glue that one on first. And then just like I did with my strips, I'm just going to work out. So I'm going to put this one centered. And then I'm going to do one on either side. I'm just going to keep working side to side. I feel like I'm a pretty good eyeballer, so I don't measure these, but if you need to measure them, that's totally fine. You could just kind of plan it out, or maybe even lay them out on your card before you started gluing, just so you can make sure that you're getting them spaced evenly. Of course, now that I said I'm a good eyeballer, I'll probably mess it up. And then next I'm going to put my birthday on. And again, this precision point glue really comes in handy. I'm adhering these fine, tiny little pieces of cardstock. Just push that down. And then my letter A. You can either place it right there. I kind of off-centered it because it seems to tuck nicely right into there. All right, so that is the front of the card. And then just one more thing. We're going to add our little sentiment inside. This is something that I've been doing recently on my cards, is adding a sentiment on the inside. For a lot of years I didn't do that, but I really like how it just kind of finishes it off. And all I'll do is just design my sentiment and then create an offset layer kind of as a shadow, and then it just looks really nice and polished and finished, I think, for the inside of the card. So we've got that onto the shadow layer, and then I'm just going to put some glue on this and stick this right inside the card. Secret little pull-out sentiment. You can, again, be snarky or nice, whichever you prefer, but this is just great for anyone on your list. I did realize that I forgot to put the little white layers behind the eyes, so you could definitely do that right when you make yours. I hope you've enjoyed this project. You can actually grab the cut file for this project with the link in the description, and I'm offering it for just $1. So it basically just covers the download cost, and you'll be able to make your own. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great day.